Welcome back, and we're back after Labor Day weekend. And actually, I don't think I'd ever pulled these out to show you, but these are the brake calipers that we have now. So these are dual calipers, and they'll be going on in fairly soon on the aircraft. Anyway, back to this plug. So this is the one that's going to be for the lower cowling. The guys are laying a layer of fiberglass on that foam there, so it can be ready for Jeff to spray it with some putty and get it back on the machine. And meanwhile, Jeff has bonded in these conduits, at least on the front section, and then the back section is going to be a bracket that you'll see in a little bit that basically holds them there in between the bracket that has the aileron pulleys on it. And there you can see Jeff's spraying the putty on there, and didn't take him too long to get that one done. It's not very large compared to some of the ones that we've done before. Now, last time I showed you some of the little adjustments we're making to fit the parachute in. So this is one of the new brackets. It's going to be like a little add-on to the top of the firewall. So I've just created the flanging and stuff for that, so that one has tool paths now ready to go. And the next one up is going to be this brace that basically goes between the firewall and the aft bulkhead and sort of supports the engine mount. So that one actually had to make that wider, so this is a new one for that. And again, just the highlighted part is the actual part itself, and the rest is all the flanges. So that one's ready to go for the machine. And then this is the our aileron box, where the aileron control rod comes out of the keel, and we made a slight adjustment on that, so this one has to be done again, just because we lifted it up and moved it aft a little bit. So anyway, the guys here are cutting the steel for those platforms, and they're not very big, but there's 4 different ones to do. So they spent the day today working on getting those platforms done, and by the end of the day they had all 3 of them done there with the foam ready to go. So that's what I'll be doing tomorrow, is running those on the machine, and it won't take long, and I'll get all 3 of them done tomorrow. And meanwhile, up on the machine is that one that Jeff sprayed in putty. And here you can see just starting out, just with a short flat end mill, and starting on the flanges on the end there. And here we are a little bit further along, done most of the flat surfaces there with the flat end mill, and just about ready to switch over to the ball mill and get that going. And just been getting these aileron pulleys sort of finished off. So you see he's created the cable guards now, which consists of aluminum piece that's bent around there, and then a rivet in there that sits really close to the edge of the pulley there, so when the cables go through there, there's no chance of them falling out of alignment. If for some reason they go slack or whatever, they'll always stay through there, as you can see. So those are basically done, and here you can see there's a bracket that he's created now that's going to hold all of those conduits in there. Sort of they'll slot through the left side and then the right side, and in the middle section there's just basically nothing there. So that'll support these conduits at the end there. And meanwhile, back on to this, and so all the different stuff I've been doing here. So I made some changes and stuff in here since last week. So this is the protected switch there, which is going to be for the cabin pressure dump system if you ever need to dump the cabin pressure. And this is the big valve now, which is the gear dump lever if you have to dump that. So you basically pull it back around there anti-clockwise, and underneath there you can see there's the valve itself. And we've already purchased this. I actually forgot to get some video of it, but it's already purchased. It's quite a heavy valve. It can handle something like 2,800 psi or something like that. So anyway, that one's sorted out now. That needs to go, and I've done a bunch of work over the weekend as well, tidying things up and finishing off some of the other plumbing and stuff. So in here you can see I've got the brake cylinders in there now, and they're sort of hanging down in place where they'll be, and they kind of live behind the arms of the rudder pedals, and rudder slash brake pedals. So that's kind of how they'll be there, and I've got the plumbing for those all hooked up, and the reservoir in place, and for to feed them and all that stuff. So that's all going through the pressure bulkhead, and then obviously out to the back down to the brakes that I think I showed you last time. And there's that the parking brake valve there, and that's all plumbed up now. And up in front of that is the anti-locking system, so that one's all plumbed up as well. The connections to that all made, as you can kind of see in there. It's a little bit difficult because of the angle, but anyway, those plumbing connections are all done in there. And made some changes as well, just to clean up how the gear and brakes work. So those pass-throughs there come down below the foreplane now for the hydraulic for the gear, and also the lines for the brakes, which just sort of cleans things up better. And so there's less stuff going on up on this top one here. That's mainly all electrical up there, and then the hydraulics is all down below, which is kind of better. And as you can see, the lines are sort of looking, you know, cleaner and tidier now. I rotated these fittings around here, so where the pressure switches are now, those are sort of oriented differently, and it's a much cleaner sort of layout now. And the lines there, main lines, and for the main gear and the ones for the nose gear, just sort of all go out at the top there of those manifolds now, and just over the top of this nose gear bracket, and then the ones for the front, you know, obviously right there with the front cylinder, and the ones for the rear down the back. And I got the lights plumbed in here, or wired in here. So this is a taxi light and a landing light, and that's kind of where they'll be when the gear's extended. That they're actually going to be mounted to the nose gear leg, right on the wheel. So when you actually turn, they'll follow the direction of the wheel. And here you can see I moved this bracket up as well, although there's manifolds up, so they're easier access for later on, for, you know, if you have to do any maintenance or anything like that on that. And also been plumbing in the fuel system, which is sort of coming next. And, you know, some of that we've already done actually on the header tank, but and we've known how we're going to do stuff, but, you know, putting it in the CAD allows you to sort of finalize everything and know where it's all going to live. So there's the filter, and then the fuel pump on that side, and then on the other side we've got a secondary fuel pump here, and this is going to be the one that's going to warm the fuel in the straight tanks. So it's going to feed fuel from the header tank through that pump. Oh, and there's I've moved the ECU for the engine under there. And so anyway, that fuel is going to go from that pump, and it's going to go into this heat exchanger, which is drawing heat from the hot water system of the aircraft. And then the fuel will run back into the straight tanks. And then as you can see, I'm just basically plumbing up the ends right now for the different inlets and outlets of the straight tank, and it won't be long and I'll be able to actually just put the plumbing in there, so where all the different lines run. And then that pretty much covers all of the systems. I still do have some more wiring to do between some of the avionics, but you know, doing the systems right now is kind of more important, because we're starting to put stuff together and soon get things in. Anyway, that's our update for the first half of this week, and thanks again for watching.